So we've all read it, factory presets suck. You read this about most devices in the world, and Helix is definitely one of those that you read that about. So in this video I wanted to take a look at the factory presets and see what's going on with them and see if they suck or not, and then make a decision: do I delete those and free up some space on the Helix, or do I keep them just in case? Because you've got two set lists of factory presets as well as the templates, and if they're not sounding particularly how I'd use them anyway, then there's no point in keeping them there. The other thing to say about factory presets, which I think is probably obvious for most of you, is that they're going to be based on someone's interpretation of something, based on using a certain guitar and tweaked with their certain way of playing. And so in theory things could sound quite different for me than they did for whoever was programming the factory set lists. So I've just downloaded the 3.0 firmware factory set lists, and there are other ones actually as well, so you could get them and they would have been programmed by someone different, I think, if you went a bit further back. I'll confirm that. But yeah, factory presets, and I'll show you what I might tweak on a few of them if I find one that's close to what I want, or if there are ones that are just sound how I want, and I'll put them in the intro that you've just seen. So we'll dive in. Cheers. So I guess part of understanding why the factory presets sound like they do might be to understand that it's not necessarily just for us as Helix users, it might also be for Helix demonstrators. So if you imagine that someone's got to demonstrate how a Helix works, maybe there's certain things that would make more sense, like, do you want things to sound super drastically weird? Do you want a signal chain that's going to be a little bit complicated? Or do you want to keep things just generally simple so that basically I better not say so someone can figure out just by kind of looking at it. So here's the first preset that So that's, I guess, a twin. And what else have we got going on here? So we've got a spring reverb, we've got a transistor tape if we want it. And we've got a compressor at the start. So I don't know, does that suck, or? No, I think it's got something going on. What we got here, if I go across, we just got a 67 condenser on the mic. Personally, I like to keep these distances just straight up to the grill. But I don't have any problem with that as a preset. Although it doesn't have any gain stage, so personally I feel like you probably, if you're a guitarist playing this, you're going to probably be thinking, okay, well that's just a clean tone, so why wouldn't you have something like a tube screamer at the start instead of, a volume pedal and a wah, maybe, I don't know. Let's just try add this in, take that level down a little bit, then assign that to here. I might want to put that after the compressor. So, first preset, I think US double norm does not suck. Second preset, Essex A30. So this is obviously going to be an AC30 type. Quite liking that. So what we got a range master here. Again, I'm quite enjoying that. Things that I might do here, use your just the same sort of stuff. I think maybe I'd be considering changing this distance here, adding some early reflections for some room sound, and same kind of thing. What we got two cabs here, 409 dynamic and 84 condenser. We got an old hall reverb here, legacy reverb. So I'll see, can we change this over for the dynamic hall? Yes. Take a I quite like a tube screamer in front of an AC30, but to be honest, this isn't. To me, that's a cool sounding preset, so I've just saved those little changes there. Just changed out the legacy hall reverb for the dynamic hall and brought those closer, the mic distances, and brought the early reflections up. That's a fine sounding preset in my opinion. The other thing that does slightly concern me about these factory presets is that generally we're not using this second processor, and I have met people that didn't realize that this gave you access to an entirely, you know, double the power of just one of these. So let's just keep going through. Plexi jump. And the other slight issue that I might have with it is that you haven't got an opportunity, if you're a user, to kind of go in and add much to these, because you've already got basically the bases are loaded. So, you know, as a user, I'm thinking, oh, I kind of dig this, but where would I add a delay or whatever? And you're going to then make choices about what you take off. But, you know, if I'm using the factory presets, I'm guessing I'm going to be a new user, so you might be a little bit daunted by the fact that the bases are already loaded. So how do you add your own effects? So not my favourite sounding preset there. And then we got Cali Rectifier, so our fourth preset in, we're into the heavy stuff. So again, not a bad sounding preset at all. We got Cali Q graphic here and a tube screamer, as you'd expect. Got a wire up front. I guess for sort of Metallica type stuff, this seems to be doing that thing to me. You know, fairly classic stuff going on here. Although obviously Metallica are Mark users, but what we got here, we've got the graphic EQ, volume pedal. In theory, there's no real reason why you wouldn't just use a dual cab here instead of this. We've got a 7 dynamic and an 87. And distance is at 2 inch again. Again, that might be the first thing that I would go, I'll change to that. And the other thing that I might do, I don't know if I love that graphic. Is take the drive down at the front of the amp and instead use some power amp kind of drive, because I know on a rectifier that's quite a powerful thing. So I'm kind of digging that sound now, but you know, it's a rectifier, what are you expecting? So let's just keep going through until we find something a bit more unusual, because I'm going to guess these are going to be the same kind of things. So we've got a US Deluxe norm here, and for this one, I'm finding this memory man I'm wanting to move after the cab. And also I want to take this depth down. What have we got going on cab wise? Same sort of stuff. I might want to put some of those in for some room sounds. And I feel like that mix is a bit high anyway, so I can take that down. So that's doing a thing. Let's just keep looking for something that looks a bit more unusual. So here's a matchless one. I'm not sure I love that bucket brigade before the amp either. But whatever, that's a mono. Okay, personally I'm more of a fan of using stereo delays after the amp and cab. Maybe that's just me. A mix at 40% is not something I'd particularly So don't hate that preset, don't love it either. What have we got going on? We've got condenser on the Match H30. What I might do for this would be to use a dual cab instead if I could. And what I'm going to do is this, because this is what is in the real matchless. You have mismatched speakers, so like that. and I won't change anything else, but bit honky there with that mid boost. So don't hate that one. When do we start getting, so these are just basically amps. So I don't know, how have they made that Derailed Ingrid sound? This is one of my favourite amps in the Helix. So they've not made this sound particularly how I'd want it to sound. We've got a bright switch at the end of the Derailed Ingrid, by the way. Cab wise, what we got, greenback, fair. I don't know, let's try something like this. So that to me sounds a bit fatter. So what did I actually do? I changed the cab to a silver bell. That was it, wasn't it? And I turned on the bright switch. So that was how that sounded. And it would have sounded like. So just again. Bright switch on. And cab to a silver bell. And simple delay would not be my one of choice, but I think to me, I prefer that kind of thicker sound of the silver bell. Right, so that's a change that I would make there. If we go further through, hopefully at some point we're going to land on some other things. So what we got here, pull me under. Now we start to get some more complicated presets. So that to me sounds pretty okay. What have I done here? I managed to jam my screen. Dope. Right, I'm just going to reset this then. BRB. So we get to these other presets here which are a little bit more adventurous, and then we start to see things that are using way more of the power of the Helix. So maybe I'll try and find one or two of these. Lonely Hearts. So not exactly the most natural sounding preset in my opinion, not one that I would use, I don't think anyway. Then we get to some artist presets, and some of these are pretty cool in my opinion, so worth trying. I've done other videos on these, but for instance you get like Misha Mansour's stuff. That sort of stuff, or you get things like the guitarist from Garbage, the guy from Mastodon. What does his sound like? Quite a lot of kind of fizzy stuff there for me, so personally I'd probably be heading to the cab block and bringing the high cut down, I think. But yeah, there's other videos where I've gone through those. The Rets all round is pretty nice as well. And he's using a pretty cool routing. So worth a look, some of those. Then I guess I'm going to just skip over to Factory 2. Is this going to be the same sort of stuff? No, so here we're using, Factory 2 is using more of the kind of whole approach here, and I think that might be where I might start, to be honest. Maybe, I don't know, maybe not. Eat it. So this is going to be... I've got no idea what that's supposed to be. That's a thing. You get the idea. I think there's probably it's got to be that one's quite a lot louder than the others. What other things can we find in here? Sunset Shimmer sounds like nice. Except for when you turn it on. Right, hold on. Delay E major. Is that usable then? E major scale. Oh, I managed to freeze it up again. I think I might recommend starting with this templates thing as well in some ways, because this can give you a good insight into how the Helix can work. So, for instance, quick start here. And you've got space in this kind of preset to add bits and pieces, you know, if you wanted to. A bit more friendly maybe to start with. Then what else? Parallel spans. You've got a thing here which is showing you you've got a dual kind of amp setup with space before and after the amp to put stuff, and that could be really useful. I mean, hold on, if I move that over here, then you can start to add in your bits and pieces. Maybe you add a clon. And it's a basically good sounding preset as it is. Maybe you even do things like add a delay after. Let's try vintage digital. And I think those are actually really good basic sounding presets. You've got deluxe norm there, and what have we got here? High watt, interesting. So that's maybe a good place to start, I think. Then what else have we got? Amp spill, so switching between a bunch of different amps in the same presets. I think that's quite a good concept. And demonstrates a way that you could do things. Super serial. So what this is just a template where you could put your blocks here, and essentially you run all of the processors into one another, so you've got like a really long effects chain. That's a really useful thing. 4-cable method, that's the kind of preset you use if you're trying to use 4 cable. 7-cable method. 2 tones A and B, I quite like this as a preset. So this shows you how you can run 2 amps and in a really powerful way. Actually a really useful preset. And 2 notes blend, same. External amps and pedals. But you see there, I think in this template section you've got some really useful templates. Stereo mixer, what is this? Interesting. So that could be really useful for stuff. Momentary pitch. I mean, these are at least experimental and showing you some of the things that could be done. And at the very end here, the most useful preset, hold on, the most useful preset in the Helix is this one. Anyway, yeah, I think I'll try and put together an intro now and I'll let you know which presets I end up using. But I think definitely some presets which I think are worth holding on to. So I think as a result of just going through some of those and seeing what was what, I think I would keep them on the Helix. I think there are some, when you're scrolling through them, maybe you're looking for 1, 2 or 3 sounds that you like rather than liking every single factory preset. Just because of the way that a modeler works, I think it's very difficult to scroll between lots of different sounds and not get fatigued. And my advice would be just to look through it and just have it in mind what you're actually looking for. So, you know, maybe I'm thinking, right, I want some sort of Fender style tone, so I'm going to check through the Fender style stuff. Maybe that one's not for me. So I go back and I look through, okay, Kelly Texas channel 1, that's a Mezza Lone Star, so I think, okay, that's potentially quite Fenderish. And I think, okay, maybe that is usable. I don't like the delay settings, but other than that I kind of dig that, so maybe that's one that I might use. Maybe I keep looking. What else have we got here? Divided duo. Okay, this is potentially Fenderish. Not in this case. Oh wait, we're on the Brit P75. Well, I do really like that for a lead tone. Okay, so remember 8C has a cool sound. Divided duo, what does that sound like? I kind of dig that as well. Ooh, I'm digging that as well. Okay, so we found 2 there that I really like, 8B and 8C. So I'm going to put together an intro now, but yeah, hopefully that's kind of how I would think about using these. These aren't necessarily designed for much else than to show what the unit can do. I think there are some really good sounding things in there if you know what you're looking for. If you're just scrolling through it, I think you'll quite quickly get kind of ear fatigue, but for instance there's 2 that I really like the sound of, and amp models that I don't necessarily use all the time, so that's maybe a way in. So you go in there and you think, right, I'm going to look for something Fendery, and then just see what you end up finding. US small tweed, what does this sound like? So that's not what I'm looking for, but that kind of is. So that'd be what I would recommend. Maybe don't delete your factory presets just yet. I don't think they all suck. Catch you in another video soon. Cheers.